Welcome to the webinar about Harlee Abromson-Kuth's journey with Parkinson's. Thank you to Harlee for offering her time, sharing her story. I am Casey Peluso from Parkinson Foundation, Western Pennsylvania, and very glad to be here to introduce our presenter, Harlee Abromson-Kuth. She is a licensed clinical social worker and a psychotherapist treating anxiety, depression, grief, and relationships for 30 years. She's a local woman in the greater Pittsburgh area living with Parkinson's for approximately 3 years. Harlee lives with her husband and 3 rescue Golden Doodles in the greater Pittsburgh area. You're in for a treat. Thank you, Harlee, and please take it away.
You're welcome. Well, I am Harlee, and as a psychotherapist, I'm used to listening way more than talking, so this is really a switch for me. Although I will be talking, I'll certainly be listening as well to whatever comments and questions come up for you. Thank you for inviting me here today to share a little bit of my story. My hope is to shine a light on the strategies that have helped me with my symptoms of Parkinson's, as well as other medical challenges that have recently daunted me, so that perhaps some of these strategies will help you. Let me give you a little backstory. About 4 years before I was officially diagnosed, I had a tremor in my left hand. And I do right now because I have Parkinson's. Anyway, I went to a neurologist to find out if I had Parkinson's or not, because that's not what I wanted to hear. So for 4 years, every 6 months, he kept telling me, you do not have Parkinson's. You're fine. You don't have Parkinson's. One day I was getting my hair cut and my hairdresser said to me, have you ever been assessed for Parkinson's? At that moment, my stomach just flipped. I said, why do you ask? There was something about the way I moved from the cutting station to the washing station that reminded me of her dad. So yes, I was freaked out. I had just been to the neurologist, but I called him back and I won't mention his name. I went back and I told him what my hairdresser said. And I said, could you please reassess me? So he reassessed me. And after he reassessed me, he said, yeah, I suppose you could have Parkinson's. Well, that was the end of my relationship with him. At that point, I moved to the Movement Disorders Clinic in Oakland. When Dr. Abby Olson said the words to me, you do have Parkinson's. It is progressive and it's incurable. I was stunned. The message muffling around in my brain, like hearing slurred speech over and over again. You do have Parkinson's. You do have Parkinson's. I had officially entered the blur zone. How could this be? I've been so healthy my entire life. My world became a place of darkness and fear. It's hard to think of staying strong when you hear words like degenerative, progressive, incurable. It makes you think you can't win. You can only slow the progression. But slowing the progression must become a worthy goal. It's all we have. Then my husband lit a fire beneath me when he said, Parkinson's won't have a grip on us. We're going to get a grip on Parkinson's. That's when I began my research, reading everything I could and calling the Parkinson's Foundation for resources. At the time of my diagnosis, I had tremors in my left hand, and I still do, as you can see, and my left leg. My left foot would hitch at times while walking. My balance was sometimes off. My left hand and my left arm were weak. My left arm swung more slowly than my right when I walked. I couldn't use my left hand to wash my hair, pick up a pot of pasta to empty into a bowl, pull up the sheets to make the bed, or even pet my dogs. My arm wanted to naturally stay at my waist, and I was really fatigued. My entire left side was weaker, slower, and less coordinated than my right. I couldn't do a yoga tree pose without holding on. That was close to 3 years ago. Today, I have a slight tremor in my left hand, as you well know by now. The weakness and coordination of my left side is still there, but not quite as pronounced as before, and definitely not worse. I don't remember the last time I felt my left foot hitch. And at least sometimes, for a couple of seconds, I can hold a tree pose. I've had some sleep issues, which have mostly been resolved with melatonin. I get fatigued, but my husband reminds me that I'm allowed to because I had been boxing for an hour and a half. I saw 3 or 4 clients. I helped with the cooking, walking the dogs, and oh, by the way, I am getting older. But let me say a word about fatigue. I think, and maybe you can relate to this as well, we'll talk about it a little bit later. I think there are 2 different kinds of fatigue. I think there's a generalized fatigue when you've done a lot that day, when you are getting older. And then I think there's a Parkinson's fatigue. For me, I can tell the difference. The Parkinson's fatigue, when it comes, is debilitating, and you have to take care of yourself at that time. You just have to lie down and rest for a half an hour or an hour, whatever it takes to recuperate. But those 2 kinds of fatigues feel different to me. You'll have to let me know if you have the same experience. In recent months, a new diagnosis challenges me. I have been struggling with severe pain in my lower back. A recent MRI shows severe spinal stenosis, bulging discs, and severe arthritis. I am certain I am not the only Parkinson's patient with at least a dual diagnosis, if not more. But let me say, this has really punched me in the gut. The pain has been so severe that I have very sadly had to put the boxing on hold. Here I am again, faced with the question of how I will handle this in addition to staving off the progression of Parkinson's. What has been frustrating is that I can't box right now, and that has been my life-saving medicine for Parkinson's. The other conundrums facing me are the risks of medications and interventions for my back. For sure, I'm trying all the things: physical therapy, acupuncture, chiropractor, and now the possibility of risky meds, shots, or even surgery. It would be very easy for me to fall into negative thoughts and feelings, sadness, self-pity, and worry. But my Parkinson's diagnosis taught me the lessons that apply to this additional challenge. Let me share with you my own holistic approach to dealing with Parkinson's and, more recently, this new diagnosis. The areas that I have incorporated are the physical, the emotional, the social, the intellectual, and the spiritual. First, the physical. Why is this important? Research shows that intense activity produces dopamine, which we are lacking. My boxing coach says, I scream, you scream, we all scream for dopamine. Physical activity also helps with balance, coordination, strength, and mood. The strategies that have worked for me are, of course, the boxing, water aerobics, yoga, and walking. When I began my research, I discovered the Rock Steady program in Export. The first day, I was warmly welcomed, and by the time the class ended, I felt like I was part of the community there and a family who already knew me. The certified boxing trainers and the amazing volunteers taught me the punches, the stance, and all the body movements. As the classes went on, I was taught how to improve balance, even fall correctly, lift weights correctly, stretch, and even stand and walk safely. Twice a week, we have a circle, a chair circle, providing an opportunity for cognitive exercises, voice strength, and socialization. They always continually keep eyes on us, push us to do more, and tweak the movements that need improvement or correction. I began going nearly every day. I improved so much that the trainer said I could add regular classes. I jumped on that. I began participating in 4 Parkinson's classes and 3 regular classes every week. When the trainers shout, "Gloves on," we know it's go time. They play raucous music, they tell jokes, and make it incredibly fun. And I miss it so much. I feel so alive when I go, and I felt a good tired, knowing that I've done something beneficial for my condition to keep it from progressing. When I heard the clapping smash of my gloved hand hitting that bag, I knew the neurons were really trying. It had been my job to do this and to try to do it again so that I can stay as healthy and positive as possible, not only for myself, but for my family and my friends as well. It's fun to feed the birds with my granddaughter and walk the trails with my husband and my 3 very spirited Golden Doodles. I still want to cook Thanksgiving dinner for the kids. I don't want to give up on cooking. I still want to party and go to dinner and play games with my friends. Let me share with you that last fall, my husband and I traveled to Europe for 17 days, visiting 8 cities. No, I'm not going to share my vacation pictures, but I will tell you that most days we clocked 15 to 18,000 steps. I share this with you because I don't believe I could have managed this 2 years ago. In June, we went on a Viking River cruise to France. I'm convinced that my boxing, water aerobics, and general daily physical activities were responsible for my ability to live this bucket list experience and to gain enough confidence to do even more in the future. One of my trainers reassessed me last fall, comparing my abilities to about a year and a half before that. In no area did I worsen, and in the areas of balance, speed, and coordination, I had some improvement. The water aerobics class twice a week helps with balance, coordination, and gives me the opportunity to do jumping jacks and the like that are easier on my knees and my back in the water rather than on the hard surface of a floor. Now and then I take a yoga class or just stretch, which relaxes my body and centers my mind. And most days I walk a mile or 2 with my husband and my dogs. Now, with the problem with my back, I've had to change things. For now, boxing is out. For several months, the pain was so debilitating, I couldn't do much of anything at all. When I woke up in the morning, it was a struggle to get from my bed to the bathroom. I could not even stand straight. With the help of physical therapy and meds, I have been able to join an easy water therapy class and an easy stretching class. I'm also able to walk about a mile and a half a day. I'm focusing now, and this is so important, on what I can do, not what I can't do. I am manifesting every single day that I will be back to boxing by January. Meanwhile, I keep moving, pushing to do a little bit more every day. The next area of my holistic approach is the emotional. Why is this important? We have feelings and we have reactions about our conditions. We have feelings and reactions about how Parkinson's and any other challenges might impact our relationships with our loved ones. Some of these feelings might be sadness, fear, worry, or even anger. Sometimes reactions can be isolation or resignation. What might help us to move from sadness to joy, from fear to courage, from worry to resolve? What might help us move from isolation to engagement, from resignation to acceptance? The strategies that have worked for me are meditation, choosing my attitude, and my 3 P's: positivity, productivity, and peace. A few moments of silent meditation each morning helps ground me for the day and frame my 3 P's. The first of my 3 Ps is giving myself a positive affirmation and putting a positive message out there that today will be a good one. I have learned over time that our attitude is a choice. If I'm a little off one day, I try to figure out why, then consciously choose a positive attitude that lights me up and puts a smile on my face. Let me say that you really can't choose your feelings, but you can choose your attitude. And I am a firm believer that if you choose your attitude to be a positive one, the feelings will ultimately follow. My next P is productivity. Let's do something about this. What action, what achievable goal will benefit me? Perhaps it's reaching out to family and friends for support. Maybe it's just walking your dog. Could it be finding that therapist you've been thinking about? Keeping a gratitude journal helps keep things in perspective. Setting small, achievable goals help build confidence. Perhaps trying one boxing class, one swimming class, one yoga class. That might lead to 2 next time. Mindfully focusing on the cans, not the can'ts. Finding meaning and purpose. Creating things to look forward to. All these things help us live our best lives. For me, the reality is I need to be physical every day. It's my priority. Now that the intense exercise is out for me, I'm finding other ways to keep moving. Also, I still want to work because I find meaning and purpose in doing so. I figured out that I needed to cut back to change the circumstances of my work so I wouldn't be overtaxed. Balance, finding balance is so important. My third P is peace. Be gentle with yourself. Find that lifestyle balance. Do not define yourself by your Parkinson's. We are much more than a Parkinson's patient or any kind of patient. We are people with a purpose, a zest for life, a determination to fight, 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 motivated not to let medical conditions control us to the best of our abilities. And I label Parkinson's a condition rather than a disease. That just feels better for me. Another word about boxing. Boxing not only impacts the physical, but the emotional too. As I mentioned before, it provides a community, a family, mitigating that feeling of being alone. Having others to share with who understand brings peace. I will get back to it. The next area of my holistic approach is the social. Why is this important? Being socially engaged staves off depression and helps take the focus off of Parkinson's. The strategies that have worked for me are staying connected with friends and family who understand that from time to time, fatigue does set in. Do what you can. Maybe it's just a phone call. Maybe it's a lunch date or a walk. But whatever it is, surround yourself with people who support you, encourage you, but don't overly push you. Trying to create something to look forward is always exciting and necessary. Maybe it's planning a day trip, a vacation, a trip to the theater, or simply planning a special meal with your partner or a friend. I will tell you that that horrible pain I've endured, coupled with the Parkinson's, did put me in a zone of frustration and sadness. But I made every effort every day to take my own advice that I share with you today to climb out of that. I'm not only here for you today, I'm here for myself too. The next area of my holistic approach is intellectual. Why is this important? It's important to understand our conditions in order to make informed decisions about treatment. The strategies that have worked for me are research, keeping up with the latest information, and utilizing support groups. It's important to prioritize needs. Ask yourself, how much work is enough to keep me stimulated but not stressed? Review your responsibilities. How much can you manage efficiently? Reach out for help. Delegate when you need to. Read and talk, and then read and talk some more. The last area of my holistic approach is the spiritual. Why is this important? Spirituality can provide a feeling of being connected to something bigger than we are, being a part of the universe, whatever your higher power may be. Keeping the faith gives us comfort, calm, and peace. For me, being faithful decreases my stress level. I like to say faith, not fear. Strategies that have worked for me: expressing gratitude when I wake up, walking in nature, prayer, nurturing intimate relationships with those who love, support, and understand me. Think about what spirituality means to you. Allow me to please share a very personal story that has meaning for us all. Last Thanksgiving, a very close family member passed away from Parkinson's that she had for 16 years. We all loved her very much. During the Parkinson's years, she chose not to exercise. I tried to get her to box with me and other things, and she just would not do this. I believe that was detrimental to her. I share this with you because I want to emphasize as much as I possibly can how important movement is for all of us. We must be fighters who never, ever give up. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope perhaps that something I said will help you move forward. A reality is that everyone, with or without Parkinson's or any other condition, must at some point, and I quote Desiderata, gracefully surrender the things of youth. Remember that none of us is promised tomorrow, but right here, right now, today, we're okay. Let us all be grateful for this day, making the best that it can be. And let us all hope and pray for the courage, strength, and motivation that it takes to fight every single day. Let us all stay mindful, present, positive, productive, and most of all, peaceful. Thank you. I want to share with you what I think are the important takeaways from what I just spoke about. And I believe Casey has those for you, and I will be happy to read them as well. Here are the takeaways. The takeaways that I would like you to try to remember today are these: stay physical, keep moving. You can choose your attitude. This is so important. We can talk about it more if you like. Focus on what you can do, not what you can't. Set small, achievable goals that bring you meaning and purpose. Try new activities. Create things to look forward to. Your identity is much more than that of a Parkinson's patient. Stay engaged with those who lift you up. Keep toxicity out of your life. Stay informed. Stay balanced in life as well as on your feet. Faith, not fear. Thank you.
Thank you, Harlee.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing your personal story.
You're very welcome.
Perseverance, grace, purpose. We have a little award each year, and that just comes to mind when I think of you, Harlee.
Thank you. I'm open for any discussion or comments or questions that you might have.
You can either type in the chat or unmute yourself and ask. Lauren commented that those are wonderful takeaways.
Thank
I'll be glad to share those with all of you.
Question. Did you go? Hi, thank you for your story. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for listening.
Yep. Did you go, or are you going to some type of therapy or something with your husband to cope with the changes?
You mean what,
Like
psychotherapy?
psychotherapy.
Well, truth be told, I have several good friends who are also my colleagues, and they're all psychotherapists. And we have groups that meet and talk about things together all the time. But it's a really great idea.
Thank you. What was the hardest thing that you've encountered, and how did you deal with it?
The hardest thing that I encountered initially was getting the affirmation of the diagnosis. That was really difficult. And there were a couple of months that I was pretty down. And that's I actually I had to take some Lexapro for a while. And for about 3 months I took that. And then my husband was just amazingly helpful. And I'll repeat what I said right in the beginning. He just grabbed me by the shoulders and he looked me straight in the eye and he just said, Parkinson isn't going to get a grip on us. We're going to get a grip on Parkinson's. And that was just like something in me switched at that time. And that's when I said I started all the research and joined the boxing. And in a few months, I was off of the Lexapro and just had this really positive attitude about not giving up and fighting.
Thank you.
The other hard thing is the reality that this is progressive and incurable, and that you have to just come to some kind of acceptance about that and do the best you can and just live. Because I said it in there before, none of us is promised tomorrow. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. Go do what you want to do. Go be with who you want to be with. Go live your life right now. I can't even emphasize that enough.
Thank you. I loved about the cruises. What you said about going on a cruise. I love
We
that.
thought, you know what, we did the Europe trip and then we went back to France, and then we have 2 trips planned this year, and I'm hoping my back's going to be okay. In May, my husband and I, before my back started to hurt, we planned this whole road trip up to Thousand Islands, St. Lawrence Seaway, the whole way up to Quebec City and back. And then in October, we planned another Viking River cruise to Eastern Europe. We're going to spend 3 days in Istanbul and then go all over the place over there. And I'm like, spend the money now, go do it now, because we don't know what's coming. Go do it while you can.
Thank you.
That I feel really strongly about that.
There's a question in the chat. Or do you have another question or comment, Carla? Okay. How do you navigate a positive outlook if others around you are more negative about their diagnosis?
That's a really good question. I talk to them. And I'll kind of mirror back. I'll say something like, it seems like you're really sad about this, or you might be a little angry, or whatever I'm getting the sense of what that person's feeling. I'll mirror that back to them and I'll say, let's talk about it. And then I'll say, and I'll tell them about trying new things and all the things that I said when I spoke to you this last half hour. It's difficult to hear all that negativity, but I'll just work at it. I'll break them down. I'll keep talking.
It sounds like you put your therapist hat on too.
I'll put my therapist hat on. Yeah. And you know what? I have found positive results with that. I really have with some folks that I've encountered in the boxing group and so on, I'll just talk to them, or invite them to get a cup of coffee or something, and just give something of myself.
And it sounds like you provide a space for them to share their feelings.
I provide a space for them to share their feelings. I provide a space to anybody who wants to share their feelings with me.
I really liked how you mentioned that you can't choose your feelings, but you can choose your attitude. I hadn't thought of it that way, but it makes sense to me.
It really does, because you can consciously do that. You can wake up and you can, even if you're feeling a little bit like crap that day, you can wake up and say, I'm going to make it a good one. I'm going to do the best I can today. I'm going to watch the sunrise, whatever you're going to do. And I have seen it happen with clients, my own clients, over time. You choose your attitude, ultimately the feelings will follow. It's almost kind of like that fake it till you make it, you hear people say.
And also being realistic about your goals. You mentioned the small, achievable goals. We want to set ourselves up for success.
Right, because if you set too many goals, or if you set big, gigantic goals, or like really long-term goals, that can make you feel overwhelmed and want to give it all up. But if you set something, one step, one small thing that you believe in yourself you can do, then you build on that. Builds confidence.
There's another question in the chat. Harlee, is there anyone in the Parkinson's community that you look to for advice or that inspires you? And if so, who is that? Or maybe it's more than one person.
Well, yeah, there's a couple people, that friends that I've made in the boxing group. There's a fellow that I'm friendly with who not only has Parkinson's, but he has skin cancer. And he constantly maintains a positive attitude. So exactly, what was the question? Who inspires me?
Yes.
So he inspires me. And another friend of mine whose Parkinson's is worse than mine is, who keeps fighting and fighting and fighting, and maintains a positive attitude. She inspires me. And the two of the not to all of them, actually all the boxing coaches and the volunteers over there that I've become friendly with, they all inspire me, because they're just all rah rah rah, upbeat, we're going to get this, we're going to beat it, and they inspire me.
Thank you for sharing that. One of the women that was attending would like to say thanks so much for sharing your story and your approach to dealing with Parkinson's. I couldn't agree more about trying to stay positive. She needed to go. She said thanks again.
Okay, that's nice to hear.
I really like how you break it down into the 5 areas, 5 pillars, however you'd like to call it. You know, to have that holistic way of living. And how long do you think it took you to kind of develop that approach from the time in which you were diagnosed?
Probably within about 6 months, because the first 3 months I was jolted. And that's when I was on the Lexapro and, doing the research and trying to get a grip on things. So I think all in all, it took about 6 months to get that approach together.
Oh, Carla's asking, what is the name of the program? Oh, the boxing program. And how does one get registered?
It's the name of the program is Rock Steady, and the boxing club is called Fit for Boxing, the number 4, Fit for Boxing, and it's in Export. And should you decide to call over there, there's a woman whose name is Natasha, who will answer a bunch of questions for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a terrific program with terrific people. I can't wait to get back.
There's not a Fit for Boxing in the South Hills, that fit for boxing, I should say. There's some other programs, and I
Yeah,
can share this with you, Carla, too.
yeah. I think that there's another, the same people that have one in Export have one in Hampton.
Yes,
Yeah, I believe it's in Hampton.
yes.
That's really been the best medicine for me.
Mhm.
So it's been, as I said when I was speaking to you, it's been really difficult to navigate this whole thing with my back and, not being able to do that right now. So I'm fighting it. I'll get there.
Another question that came into the chat, Harlee, you had mentioned the blur after being diagnosed. That seems to be a common feeling. Any tips on sharing your diagnosis with others?
Tips on sharing my diagnosis with others. You mean like friends and family,
Yes.
the people that don't have it? That can be very difficult when you start. Of course, my husband was with me when I was diagnosed, so he knew. And then shortly after that, I called one of my best friends from childhood, and I asked her to meet me for coffee. And I just told her, and I said, I have something really important to tell you, and I need you to listen. And I just kind of did it one-on-one with one person at a time. I think that it's important to be real about it. I think it's important to ask for support and understanding from your close friends and family. Um, and I guess it depends on who you're talking to about how detailed you want to get with symptoms and so on. So really, all in all, it's about the relationships that you've cultivated over your lifetime, who you can talk to, and how you present. For me, it's just being open and real and honest about the whole thing. I hope I answered that question. I'm not sure if I answered to the best of what she was looking for.
No, that was a great response. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm listening. Like I said, I do a whole lot more listening than talking usually, so I'm all ears.
I appreciate you sharing the details about the different holistic aspects of your life. Like for physical, you also mentioned water aerobics.
Uh-huh.
I think it's important to find what, a diverse array of exercises and what you also enjoy.
Yeah,
It's
because
helpful.
you don't want it to be a chore. I mean, I said in there, and I mean this, that it's my job now. It's my full-time job to do something physical every single day. But like you said, Casey, you have to find something fun. You have to find something that you really enjoy doing, or otherwise you won't do it. You'll burn out and you'll stop and you'll end up on the couch.
And also how you mentioned how Parkinson's is a condition and not a disease.
Yeah, well, when this is for me, when you hear Parkinson's disease, it just sounds so dreadful. And it just sounds so dark. I say, okay, I like the word condition better. It sounds like I got something going on and I got to deal with it. It's a condition. Disease makes it sound just awful, I think. And condition just sounds a little lighter to me. It's just me.
It's good to hear how you view Parkinson's. And I think you mentioned that it's part of you, but doesn't define you or something to that effect as
Mhm.
well. I think that's an important reminder.
You can't, because you can't let it encompass your whole entire life every single day. You just can't. You have to have other things to be focused on and enjoy. You have to have other things to think about. We're so much more than Parkinson's. Or any other condition. Something to cope with. We just got to cope with it. We got to fight it every day in the best possible, most enjoyable way that we can, but not let it get this grip on us and put us in a dark place and curl up in a ball in the bed. We can't do that. Life's too precious.
Another thank you so much for your story. And I think we'll conclude unless there are any other comments or questions. And in conclusion, thank you everyone for attending. And Harlee, can you please share just I don't know, what inspires you to keep on going every day?
There are people in my life who I love with all my heart. And I want to stay connected to the best of my ability with the people in my life that I love, my friends and my family. That keeps me going. Just staying connected.
That's very, very special. And thank you for taking your time to provide us with your story, and everyone for attending.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I appreciate you listening.
We hope to see you another time soon. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Bye for now.